Have you guys ever had a really bad coach that has completely ruined your day, or worse, made you want to quit that sport? My name is Natalie, and today I will be discussing the impact coaches have on their players on and off the field. More importantly, in this speech, I will be explaining the effects of using aggression in a coach's leadership role and how it has a really bad negative impact on players. Finally, in this presentation, I will discuss a summary of my findings from an informal article. Next, I will be explaining those findings and why they are important. And lastly, I will be telling a story between a coach and I that affected me pretty negatively. Now I will be discussing the research article. My research article, titled Verbal Relationship with Athletes' Intrinsic Motivation, discusses the positive relationship of coaches' verbal aggressiveness with anxiety and a negative relationship between coaches' verbal aggression and players' enjoyment, ability, and effort with the sport. This relates to Chapter 9 in our textbook called Managing Interpersonal Conflict. More specifically, it talks about ego conflict, which is when two people are in conflict because neither will let go of their personal position. This conflict often involves personal attacks from one or both people in the situation and puts one person more on a defensive side than the other. The overall purpose of this study was to investigate college athletes from the USA and Canada, where they responded to a survey where they indicated their negative perception with coaches' aggression, their identification with the coach, their learning, motivation, and overall love for the sport just constantly declined, as the survey showed. The three hypotheses they wanted to answer is coaches' aggression versus non-aggression, the effects their leadership style had on players' learning, and the effects those styles had on players' overall motivation. The results were that verbal aggression by coaches negatively influenced identification with the coach. This essentially means that players had little to no relationship with the coach at all, and they felt very uncomfortable on the field. And this put these players in a very uncomfortable situation and impacted their emotional and mental health in a very negative way. Ultimately, love for the sport continued to decrease while coaches were more aggressive with their players. Next, I will be discussing a relationship between a coach and I that I had. I chose the communication issue we had was ego conflict. In this issue, we both couldn't set aside our strong personalities. Because of that, our conflicts escalated with each practice and game. She would constantly attack my insecurities as a player, and it made me very, very upset, and I didn't know how to solve this problem. From the article I read, I realized her aggression towards me is what caused my constant anxiety and lack of love for the sport. I also realized I tried many times to let this go and to try to resolve this problem, but she progressively got more and more aggressive and didn't seem to want to solve this problem or be rational with me in any way. From her, I have learned that aggression and closed-mindedness doesn't get anyone anywhere. If you want to communicate effectively, both people need to be rational and calm in this situation. Now I will be concluding this presentation. To sum up the speech, I discussed the effects of ego conflicts, but more importantly, when coaches take on this role and how it affects players when they are very aggressive towards them. I hope you guys have seen the importance of standing up for yourself and to never give up or stop loving what you do because of someone else. Thank you.